Restoration is brought to you by
Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Yes, extra long sanitary pad for extra comfort.
We got gas protection.
Afrochick, ahofo krojien chinienu. Vaseline Cocoa Glow with pure cocoa and shea butter.
Dove antiperspirant cares for your underarm skin like never before.
New Sunlight 2-in-1 for burst after burst of long-lasting freshness.
It will amaze you how loudly and powerful silence speaks in the heat of chaos. This is this week's edition of Restoration with Stacy. We'll be right back after this break.
Ghana for Hisense domosibe bray. Let through any pomodi adwuma for corona yare baye. Money dini ye. Ye koso asre se. Abanse se odi egu akwam no. Ye nkoso na ye niso. Ye yie di entra. Se wo home appliances a efe na eche ne bo da form afa entwe power. Yo bia be kan bia oboa. Eno ane Hisense. Hisense niema eye direct from factory. Ya na ye nti yetimi promotion abrebia. Hisense product abeto Ghana and one over Germany and America. Your fridge, air condition, TV, washing machine, gas cooker, blender, rice cooker, mobile phones, sound system, and even break home. You have 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Yeniamano, ya tete swama muse. Say yeah, no nose mask, no entry. Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Timeless. I remember the days I just couldn't go to the gym because it was that time of the month. Yas extra long sanitary pad took the worry away. Easy.
Yes, comfort. I got yes, confidence. I got yes.
The new Yas extra long sanitary pad is the joy of every woman. It is extra absorbent and fits perfect. Don't allow anything to hold you back when it's that time.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
Feel confident, stay fresh.
Hi, is it supposed to be that time of the month?
Yes. I got yes, confidence. I got
Yes.
we got yes, protection. I got
Yas extra long sanitary pad for extra comfort.
we got yes, protection.
Hello, your friend Jackie. So we will be a winning on who are the Adjetey Semia and Pimpino. You to me 5 gems if in Kitadia, you need your Brucia, your fans, any and down for any. Nanso, what bet to me about home by using a Donko hand sanitizer, debia, any bribia. Every say you to me 5 gems if in Yaman is so. A Donko hand sanitizer, bet to me about home by debia, free gems, bacteria, you need in home. A Donko hand sanitizer, sure or dog. Never home by
FD Ashwisha said Adjetey Anang Adjatum say eye.
For skin that's dull and dry, Vaseline Cocoa Glow with pure cocoa and shea butter. Blended with micro droplets of Vaseline jelly, revealing glowing radiant skin. For glowing radiance.
Underarms. You don't usually think about them. You protect them from sweat and odor, but that's not enough. What they need is something that takes care of them, so they feel good whatever you put them through. Introducing Dove Antiperspirant. It goes beyond 48-hour protection, giving you long-lasting dryness and soft, smooth underarms. Dove Antiperspirant cares for your underarm skin like never before.
Has been approved by the FDA.
So bet matter we are. Actually, so bet me swat away. Who best dance what? We hear assassin. Assassin so there. The name what that for more. Monsoon you. I our Jim Ray Company Limited. What the Jim Ray? Now they accept. Jim Ray is arsenal. Everywhere to carry. Koforia, Afianya,
West Palm City, Kaswa, East Palm City, Kaswa, and the Shire Hills.
Numbers near 0509 461675 and 0265 149942.
Thank you to Jim Ray Company Limited, to Yas Washing Powder and Yas Sanitary Pad, Hooch Corn and Choco Flakes, to Hisense GTP. You are simply amazing. Adonko hand sanitizer. And as usual, I have my Adonko original hand sanitizer. In these times, you do not want to take the risk of going out without any guard. So you need to protect yourself. Make sure you have it in your car, in your home, in your bag, everywhere you find yourself. Once Koro is around, Adonko hand sanitizer is supposed to be around because we are knocking it out of this globe. Well, a big thank you to Ophelia of ABS Collection for my outfit, to Divine Cassie for my makeup, GH Beauty Artistry, to Harry's Professional Hair Studio for my hair. Harriet, you're simply amazing. And to all of you viewers watching us across the world, thank you very much for tuning in. When we see people, sometimes we try to make up our own ideas of who they could be. There is this gentleman that no matter how hard you try to define him in your own sense, you get to a point and you're stuck. He is calm, he is collected, and he is one of your favorite actors in Africa. My guest for today is Adjetey Anang. Bra, it's the same. Oh, now, Bra, that's the same. I should a lot of people love you. I love you. Like, love you. You are so perfect when it comes. Yes, nobody is perfect, but I say that because you're very particular the kind of roles you play, and when you do accept to play, you execute it to perfection. So I applaud you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Someone is standing behind the person. It's like, yes, we all love you. But let's start. I mean, before you came to the limelight, I'm sure you had a life. And most of us got to know you from Things We Do for Love.
That's right.
And it's amazing how you've been able to move from that pusher character to this fine, quiet gentleman. I mean, sometimes I look, I'm like, hey, Brawi, no, you won't work a crowd. The metal will call you Mamweni. But before Things We Do for Love, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before that time?
Yes. So in a way, before Things We Do for Love, there was no interest in acting.
Are you kidding?
No, not at all. I think the only thing that I could relate to was that I was in love with movies. I love to watch movies. I'm always fascinated by how your normal, ordinary person is able to transform characters, that they don't live every day. And so that was just a fascination. And I used to watch from Chinese movies to Indian movies.
So which of the Chinese movies was your favorite?
Shaolin Master. We have Monkey in the Shadow, something, a monkey shadow, snake in a monkey shadow. There are a number of them, but I didn't even care about their titles. Always just waiting for
those
action.
times you could actually give them titles.
Precisely.
Because some of them came with the Chinese rights and we all just interpret.
Yeah, it was all part of the fun. It made it very exciting. But there was never, the point where I was like, I want to be in that character. I want to play that. It wasn't there. It was just the ordinary guy who would, you wouldn't even pick me out of the crowd because then I would do the less talk, I would listen more, follow the crowd kind of person then. Pretty much. I take a walk down the street and you wouldn't have noticed me.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, so that was my life before.
So at what point did the whole acting thing start?
So, it started when, in a way, my dad was a contributing factor because, he, in the age where parents want you to sort of follow their footsteps, they set up a business, they want you to sort of hand it over to the next generation sort of thing. And my dad was a biochemist, and so he was dropping hints for me to, toe in line the sciences. But I took a look at his lifestyle. It was just work, home, no social life.
Mixing chemicals.
You know, and we had neighbors who were, you know, there was a contrasting professions, and I could see them having fun. You know, daddy's around. I'm like, I don't want to be in this kind of business, you know, very rigid, very, you know, always wanting to move. Of course, yes, they always wanted to break grounds, but then I didn't think that this was for me. But, you know, I needed to really prove to him that, look, whatever choice that I made, you know, I wanted to be amongst the best or the best. And so that sort of helped him to sort of guide me. And he got to a point where I was like, okay, as far as I would steady, go to the highest level as much as possible in whatever field, he would just guide me. And so that was a big break for me, because then it was tough to tell your daddy.
Was it difficult going through with the persuasion?
It wasn't too difficult because I had an agenda. And so, you know how we know what will get our daddies and mummies smiling, you know, so even if I needed to pretend, that was what I was doing. But then it helped me in the long run because, you know, studying very hard to make sure that, you know, my grades were good and all that, you know, at the end of the day, it helped me. But the agenda was more for him to sober down, to soften up when, you know, the time came. Yeah, so yeah, it worked out pretty fine.
Okay, so how was your approach?
He helped in a lot of ways because he wasn't somebody who sat down most of the time. He was always on the move, you know, so trips outside, etc. You know, so before you realize, you know, the young boy is no more a young boy, he's a young man, and then choices. You know, I'm over 18. I'm here. We still don't respect people who are 18 years. We still consider them as children. You know, and also our parents who still see us as their babies. You know, but of course, I mean, he got to understand that he saw a few of my productions at school, which was not for any competition's sake. It was just you know how we do our Easter plays and school Christmas plays, you know, and then I found myself in there and I'll play it just as I see it in the movies, and nobody's like, oh my goodness, you have it potentially. I was like, what are they talking about? I just copy what I see on TV. Exactly. And for them, we're seeing something different. And I think that he was impressed with one of performers then at SOS, where I started. And, you know, even though he didn't really say that this is the...
Like, you could tell
exactly,
he was feeling
I knew that he was, you know, so he was more like, Charlie, just make sure that, you know, you're still schooling, you're going to the highest way you can, and, you know, you have my backing. So I didn't have to go sit in front of him to tell him that, look, this is the way I'm going. He just came out and so
and just gave you his blessing.
That's right.
Most of the time, when we're given such blessings from our parents, the pressure of making sure you don't fail, because you don't want daddy coming back to say, I told you, I told you to be a biochemist and you decided to do this. Yeah. Did you feel the pressure?
Oh yes, I did. And it wasn't just because I wanted to make a mark for my dad to know that, okay, he didn't make a mistake by, you know, sort of endorsing it, but it was more of outside the family. You know, it was still in an age where people were a bit skeptical when you talk about the arts.
Yes,
so acting, you know, they all have all sorts of names for it, and so it was more like trying to impress these people, you know. At a point, you know, I got lost a bit because then instead of focusing on the skill and really the business of trying to be, you know, getting on the road of going to be the best, I lost track, you know, because I wanted to please people, so that people would not call me names and stuff like that. But, you know, it got to a point I was like, you know, hey, this is what I believe in, this is what gives me fulfillment. It took me a long time for me to even realize that, you know, because I thought it was more fun, but I never considered that as something that, you know, I really wanted to pursue as a career, a long-term thing. But then when it got to that point, I was like, yeah, man, let's go for it.
Let me do it the right
because this is what really brings me fulfillment. This is what, you know, you wake me up from bed, I would want to do and jump onto. So it was more of also pleasing them, also making sure that, you know, I prove them wrong, if as it were.
Things we do for love.
Yeah.
That was something amazing. It's epic. Now you still watch it and you would laugh because a whole lot went into the production. How were you picked for Things We Do for Love?
So we started with a radio version, you know, before it came to TV, and so there was this big audition at Lintas then, and a friend of mine, Wickford Aquak, was then, I think he had an attachment thing with them. He was working with them, said that, look, there's this opportunity, I could come in. It was when I think I was preparing for national service or so. And so I said, look, why not? I just go take a shot. And so when I went in the audition and I had the role BB, I didn't even have Pusha. So when we started radio, it was then Ivan Kwashiga, was then the director. So I got BB for the radio. But when we had moved on and then the decision was made that let's go on to TV, then Ivan said that I should switch the characters, and he was like, switch to what? This to Pusha. And I'm like, oh, why Pusha?
I've always been
this Pusha guy, the guy is so naughty, and I'm like, Charlie, people will give me names, and I was not comfortable at all, but I didn't know, he kept insisting. So I was like, okay. Then I had gained some kind of experience at the National Theatre Company where I'd been more like doing my attachment kind of thing with them, and so I was like, okay, let's try and put theory into practice. And so that was what led me into building a character together, of course, with the writer and the director, Ivan, and then Pusha became what it was. But then it was a frightening, getting to know that I was going to jump into
the contrast between Adjetey and Pusha is like that. I mean, it's because you see the character Pusha, and you might not even want to know Adjetey.
That's right.
But you see Adjetey and you are wondering, how did he become Pusha?
Yeah.
How were you able to get into that character so much above perfect?
I think that one of the things that, is, especially with actors, and that we were able to connect with our audience, is when our characters that we play are lifted from real life, experiences, scenarios, individuals. And so Pusha for me was a combination of 3 characters. There was this mate in school who had a walk similar to Pusha, but I exaggerated it. So there was some kind of familiarity with that. And then there was this my guy who watches a movie and you dare not let him tell you about the movie, because he tells you from the soundtrack, this movie begins boom 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 boom, he'll tell you the sound, even the writing of the names. I mean, he tells you everything. You don't want to watch the movie, so you better not tell him. He's very dramatic, and how he would boom boom chak, boom boom chak, boom boom chak, giving the sounds of the swords. He tells you everything in detail, and so I thought that this is somebody that very dramatic, very loud,
very fascinating. People
something
would want to watch.
Very maybe your pencil falls and what. That kind of like, very dramatic. So he also, I factored. And then, of course, this other guy who, would talk and then he melts your heart. I don't know whether he landed in marketing, because he had this skill of just getting to you with words. Wow. And so, guided by, of course, Ivan Kwashiga, the writer, we brought this character to life. But of course, they were from real life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure the guys will be laughing watching you now. But how did Things We Do for Love change your acting career?
Well, to a large extent, and okay, so let's stick to the acting career. It was definitely a platform that more or less gave me that lift. Because then previously we were doing things Thursday theater then on TV, but then Pusha, the thing just exploded, and it was something that I was unprepared for. I never even knew that I walked down the street and everybody's like hello, that kind of thing, and so it really put me in a place where it was like, okay, now so this is what you've done, and what next?
You have to build up on it.
Precisely, and it brought a lot of I'd say that some pressure to really make sure that I keep getting better and better. Because
you lifted your own bar.
Precisely, I had to. And because then, audience can say, okay, we've seen it all, what next? So it meant that working harder, learning more new skills as far as the field is concerned. And so a lot of pressure on me. And of course, once you have young people also taking up to this character, then the personality, then you know that indirectly or directly you're a mentor People are looking up to you. People will see you holding high esteem. Suppose you do something and then everybody's going to be disappointed. So even as an extension, for me, it was more like, okay, what is the kind of character that I'm going to portray, even though I'm seen in different lights. And one of the experiences that I had, therefore, maybe I'm jumping the gun, but it's linked. It was Sutherland Spark that I had was when we were invited for one of these youth kind of programs, and we're supposed to sort of guest appear. And then I went there with a couple of the cast. And this young boy with a mom, I think I put him around 10 or 9, he recognized me, so he took off from the mother and then came and hugged me. He was like, Pusha, and then I hugged him. So mother was wondering, okay, who is this person? Is he a family member? So as she drew closer to me, then she made me out. And so it was a shock on her face. She grabbed the boy's arm and was like, get away from these rascals. And then walked away. I thought she was just, putting up an act. But she was serious, and she walked away with the boy. So it was...
It would get to you.
Yeah, it got to me. Especially, look at the boy's face. He was very disappointed. Yeah. And I was like, okay, why we're taking this a bit too far. I mean, there should be a clear distinction between the character that we play and then our personal lives. But, I've always been somebody who is very optimistic, even when, there's no need for it to be optimistic anymore. And the lesson I learned was that, well, if she's not even able to differentiate between the characters that I play and me, then probably I'm doing something great. Better, so I shouldn't let that dampen my spirit. I should carry on, because you always have all sorts of characters.
Because I was going to ask you about how it affected your personal life, because this is Ghana, and sometimes you are what you preach, be it good or bad.
That's
whether you're being a good role model, a bad role model, that is who you are. You're personally, as Adjetey, did it affect you in other ways? And did you benefit from other ways?
Oh, yes. I mean, look at, you walk into certain spaces, maybe a restaurant where, I think there's this particular restaurant that had introduced this playgrounds, so there was this where kids come in and they play. And I go into that space to order something, and you realize that if you carefully watch the women, the mothers, they're making sure that they know where their daughters are, because, this guy, it's very subtle, but you notice it because, and so people I go to church, for example, and somebody's like, sorry. And they say without thinking, and they catch themselves, and then later they're like, they shouldn't have said that. But, it just come out already, because they don't expect a character like that to be even checked. But wait, man, we are the ones who need more, if so to speak. But of course, it's not always, the disadvantage, the bad side. Well, I do experience a good side. For example, I walk into a fast food joint and there's a long queue. There's this particular day, it was a very long queue. I was starving. I saw the queue, I almost gave up, but I just said, no, let me just speak there. And then someone was beckoning. I thought it was a guy in front of me. And so I was trying to, and the lady said, no, me. So I moved to her, and then she's like, what am I ordering? I'm like, oh, no, come on. Look at all these people here. And I didn't like that. And so there was a lady who was going to be served. And then she was like, oh, come on, Pusha, just take your order. And then I placed my order, and then I had fans from the queue, like, Pusha. It felt good, so sometimes, you get away with some few pecs here and there.
We're going to get into some of those moments, but we'll have to take a quick break from our sponsors. When we come back, we still have more to hear from Pusha.
Ghana for high sense domosibe bray. Netitru anya pomudi adwuma for. Corona yare ba ye. Woni ye dini ye. Ye koso asre se. Abanse se odi egu akwam no. Ye nkoso na ye niso. Ye yie di entra. Se wo home appliances a efe na eche ne bo da form afa entwe power. You bia be kan bia oboa. Eno ane high sense. High sense niema eye direct from factory. Ya na ye nti yetimi ye promotion abrebia. High sense product abeto Ghana no. Eno na abeto Germany and America. Your fridge, air condition, TV, washing machine, gas cooker, blender, rice cooker, mobile phones, sound system, and the break keka home. You have 5 years manufacturer defect warranty. Yeniama no, ya tete so amamu say, say yeah, no nose mask, no entry. High sense, everyday prices for everyday people.
Erine FSC. Eria a kono. Afro chicken minu. Emuto kama. Afro chicken ema ho fesun kokra. Afede natural hair phones when your hair extension. And how old to Afro chicken rini be ni border fem boko. A natural as a sexual obi who difference. Afro chick HBS ne kofa by Obanya e wokoko mlemle ye Benjoy FM. Frey 0202 747464. Afro chick ahofe krojien chinie no ho.
I remember the days I just couldn't go to the gym because it was that time of the month. Yas extra long sanitary pad took the worry away. Easy.
Yes, comfort, I got. Yes, confidence, I got. Yes.
The new Yas Extra Long Sanitary Pad is the joy of every woman. It is extra absorbent and fits perfect. Don't allow anything to hold you back when it's that time.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
Feel confident, stay fresh.
Hi. Is it supposed to be that time of the month?
Yes. I got. Yes, confidence, I got.
Yes.
We got yes protection, I got.
Yas Extra Long Sanitary Pad for extra comfort.
We got yes protection.
So bet matter we ya. E kire so bet mi so atowe. Wo be se dan so a unyi asase. Asase so de ne bo da form a manso ni ho. E wo Jim Ray Company Limited. What the Jim Ray a now they accept. Jim Ray asase no. Ebi we so tware. Kofobia afianya
West Palm City Kaswa, East Palm City Kaswa, and the Shah Hills.
Numbers near 0509 461675 and 0265 149942.
I love to eat a tasty breakfast in the morning. Something delicious and healthy, filled with vitamins. That's my day right, makes me so bright. Keeps my body happy. Let me tell you about what I eat. It's my secret. Hooch, crunchy, crunch, cornflakes. Hooch, crunchy, crunch, cornflakes. Hooch, crunchy, crunch, cornflakes. Hooch, crunchy, crunch, cornflakes. Wow! I say hooch, crunchy, crunch, cornflakes. Hooch, crunchy, crunch, cornflakes. Crunchy!
Hi, my name is Jackie. If you're an active person like myself, there's nothing much you can do without picking up a few germs from my daily contact with fans, family, and friends. But you can protect yourself by using hand sanitizer. Use Adonko hand sanitizer daily and frequently, as a high percentage of germs are transmitted through hand contact. Adonko hand sanitizer gives you that daily protection from germs, bacteria you can't see. Adonko hand sanitizer. Show love, protect yourself.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
For skin that's dull and dry, Vaseline Cocoa Glow with pure cocoa and shea butter. Blended with micro droplets of Vaseline jelly, revealing glowing, radiant skin. For glowing radiance.
Underarms. You don't usually think about them. You protect them from sweat and odor, but that's not enough. What they need is something that takes care of them, so they feel good whatever you put them through. Introducing Dove Antiperspirant. It goes beyond 48-hour protection, giving you long-lasting dryness and soft, smooth underarms. Dove Antiperspirant cares for your underarm skin like never before.
Introducing new Sunlight 2-in-1. It gives you burst after burst after burst of long-lasting freshness. New Sunlight 2-in-1 for burst after burst of long-lasting freshness.
This advertisement has been approved by the FDA.
Hello, it's another moment for our Hisense Super Crazy Giveaway moment, and today we are in Teshi and we have a winner with us. Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
I'm Priscilla.
Priscilla. So tell us, why do you like the show?
The show is inspiring and so motivating. Yeah. Looking at Sissy Chum's, it really talks about like determination. Like no matter how you are determined or like the failures, you shouldn't give up. You should move on till
keep pushing,
yeah, till you achieve what you want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what do you learn from the show?
Yeah, I learned that you have to be patient. Yeah.
And there's time for everything.
Yes, time
no
for
matter
everything.
how hard it gets.
Yeah, no matter how the circumstances.
It's going to get better along the way. Wow.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. So we came here today because Hisense asked us to come and say a big thank you to you for supporting us. We have something from Hisense for you.
Okay.
So a big congratulations to you coming from Hisense, and keep watching Restoration. So what do you have to tell Hisense?
Thank you and God bless you.
God bless you too. Welcome back, and that was our winner for this week's Hisense Super Crazy Giveaway moment. And if you want us to visit you, you know what to do. Send us a message and we will surely come to you wherever you are in Ghana. We're still on our conversation with Adjetey Anang. Whoa, those are some memories. So after Things We Do for Love, you went quiet for a while.
Yes.
No one was hearing from you. You were not pushing. You were not acting.
Right.
We're not seeing you.
Right.
What was happening within that time?
So school was happening.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to go study in Joburg, Vits University. Just, more or less fulfilling what Dad had said, that, just push it a step more so that you have much more of a mastery of what this area is. And so, that was what took me away for a while. Yeah.
When you came back, was it difficult to get back in? Because by the time you left, other people started doing stuff.
Sure.
You came back to meet Kumawood in full swing.
Yeah.
Other people trying to do what you had started with a certain niche, not getting to that standard.
Yeah.
Was it difficult for you getting back in the scene?
It was initially, because then, once a few producers try to reach you and then you realize, oh, you're in school, word just goes around and it's like, oh, the guy is cut out. And so it took a while. But of course, I wasn't also waiting for the industry in the sense. I came back at the time where I think I was already married, and the demands of marriage life. And so immediately I needed to have more like a monthly income kind of a business, so I had to work in the manufacturing industry, and for a while I started doing a few things, but of course those who really still were pursuing my art, like Sparrow Productions, like Shelley brought me from school to, I think, the short stint in a tail when I was still in school. And I came in and I went back. So I wasn't completely disconnected. You know, there are few people who saw that I was still doing something, but it wasn't as easy as it was right after Pusha, especially, yeah.
How were you able to carry it through? Because from Pusha going to school, coming back, getting married, having family, trying to be the man, because back then you did not have the responsibility of wife, children.
That's right.
Daddy would provide,
That's
mommy
right.
would provide. But now you could not go back home to say, Daddy, I've come home. Everything was on you.
Yeah.
So definitely the pressure would be skyrocketing now.
Yeah.
How were you able to hold it all together?
I mean, it wasn't that easy. I mean, thankfully too, I have an understanding wife. I mean, it wasn't all rosy. You know, there are times where we have to borrow money, you know, from close relatives, etc., just to make ends meet, because that was the season. I mean, you just couldn't make it. But gradually, you know, the belief that, and there was also initially she had wanted to sort of. This influence sort of discouraged me from the industry, because then there wasn't, you look at the industry, you couldn't really see a clear,
place it.
You know, a picture of what it would be in some years to come, etc. So she was more convinced that, okay, this was just more like a launching pad, but then you really have to divert. But then those were the times where it was really tough on our marriage, because then I wasn't happy, you know, and you know, hindsight, I can tell you this, but then when I was in, I didn't even realize it. But you know, I wasn't even chatting with her well. It was very mechanical. You know, Dad comes and provides, you know, okay, if you've brought a game or whatever food, you lay it down, you go to bed and rest. Next morning, it became a cycle. There was no relationship, and we didn't even realize that this was what was sort of hitting, you know, the foundations of our marriage. And until I think we had, you know, some more wise person, or the person who said, look, do you think that you might be sort of taking his life out of him just by discouraging him from moving, switching careers? You know, then she probably said, okay, maybe that's the thing. And then she gradually encouraged me that probably let me still do that on the side while I'm doing, you know, normal blue collar jobs. And that was where the spark came out again. And then, you know, it started more or less more like a second chance. And then gradually it increased. And then there was no reason why, you know, not to really pursue this career and fully. And so that's how we managed through those times.
Within that time, were there times you felt like, okay, let me just listen to her, she could be right?
Oh yeah, I mean, there was, and especially when, you know, as our women, they're very sensitive. I think it's more emotional than us, the guys, and we're also dealing with a challenge where, culturally, you know, it's not expected, or in some quarters demanded, that when you marry, you must produce an offspring, and so that was also hanging in there, and you know, she wasn't happy as well.
Wow. And I'm sure that was even more challenging for her.
Precisely, you know,
because you know, normally they will not ask the man.
No.
They will meet the man. Hey, into that man, like,
you know,
you plan.
And now they've even changed it. When they see you, they're like, oh, be Bob Paba, why? You haven't even thought about it. You know, you're not thinking about it anymore. People consciously remind you they are praying. Well, if you are praying for me, just do it behind closed doors. I don't need to know. Don't tell me, you know, because it added its own pressures. And so it was a period where I was like, okay, look, what other thing can I do to make her happy? If it's what she's saying, let me just probably listen to her. Maybe she'll be happy. I mean, just temporarily, just to buy time so that at the end of the day, we will have this baby, and then this will be okay.
The baby comes and she would have time for the baby, then you can concentrate on your acting.
That wasn't the case at all. So I tried as much as possible, you know. But then what I was also doing was, you know, sort of suppressing what was also real to me, in living and coming out of my shell and saying that, no, this is what I believe should be there, and you just have to trust in me and let's go. I thought that let me just make her happy until such time where she has something, and then we can continue.
I mean, talking about this brings me back to when we hosted Nana McBrown. She said, when you don't have a baby, indirectly people make you feel terrible. And this was coming from the point of a woman.
Right.
So having a man sitting here and sharing that with me, is it like our community is a little bit backwards? Because sometimes, let's just say, it wouldn't be about the baby not coming.
Right.
Maybe you have planned your life that, okay, I want to have a baby within this period.
That's right.
So I'm actually working now,
That's right.
and I will start making plans for a baby after this time.
Right.
But then you get the pressure, because I did after my first child. My husband and I decided, okay, let's wait for 4 years.
That's right.
Let's work so that when there is another child, you have enough to look after that child.
Sure.
2 years, hey, Mongo Mobanechi. The most annoying part was my grandmother. She said, I want to be a magical. And you ask yourself, I want a machine.
I know.
But did it have a toll on you as a man?
It did. It obviously did. I mean, I clearly understood that, and I would even say, I'm careful even not to say backwards. I'd rather say that, look, I think that it's a culture where we've been brought up in, and so this is what we're used to, and therefore whenever we don't produce those results, people begin to ask questions, and of course I think that because of also westernization, there's always this more or less subtle battle going on as to what should be exclusively our issues, which uncle cannot put their mouth in it, aunties cannot have a say in it, they can only advise, but where they're like, you have to do this, this is the demands of it, then it becomes, the conflict begins. Fortunately for us, we didn't have those kind of pressures from immediate family members. They were really supportive. Nobody even mentioned anything, but it was rather from those who would come and say that they have a solution to our issue. Get this, get this, it will work for you. Or see this man who does, touches this girl and your wife, and she should take seed. There were those who were really, mounting pressure. People, the strangers, people who want us to know that they have us at heart. And it was really tough times for me. And the fact that I was also quite known, and so it was easier for people to approach me, wanting to please me, to do something for me, and they didn't know that indirectly they were really troubling me.
When things started picking up for you, and the home front was a little bit calmer,
right?
How did things begin to look at home?
Well, it was of course, it changed. It was really beautiful. Beautiful in the sense that this was something that we were craving for and we had. But then also the responsibility that, okay, now the baby is here. We have to be careful that this blessing, we do not sort of
take for granted
and put impediments in his way. And so it was more like really making sure that we were setting the right examples, especially these young, we call them computer babies. Recently I saw a video where a young girl was just saying some words that I'm like, where did she hear that from? Definitely from daddy calling the mother something, and so those are the difficult
times
where you're very careful, where you have to edit your diction because you're careful not to
the child will
exactly
pick it up.
And parenthood became a whole new big thing for me, because then what we've been told practically was not what we're going through. So
he didn't tell you about the sleepless nights.
You get it, they tell you, but they don't tell you how the process is, into detail. So it was a learning kind of thing on a daily basis, learning new things every day. Where do we find the balance of using the rod or talk? There was always a give and take kind of thing, and especially if we're from different schools of upbringing, then that alone can also bring its own conflict. So how we were able to come to an agreement and stand by it, and it was beautiful, but then it had its own challenges and responsibilities.
Now across the world, I would even say Africa, you are a very known name and face. When that change came in, did you sit her down like, baby, I told you, I've arrived.
I don't remember that there was ever such a time. I think that, you know...
Then when you go home, tell her.
I mean, fortunately for me, she has always been supportive. I mean, from the beginning when she realized, okay, let us try this. You know, probably that's what will give me that.
Please tease her with that today.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah, try.
I'll try that.
Give it a pusher effect.
I'll try that. If only she doesn't see through me. Yeah, but it was pretty. I mean, we all realized what was happening, but then of course, you know, when that happens, then every level has its own challenges and temptations and what you have to overcome, and it also has its own issues that I was not prepared for, you know. So she was more like the guide, and look, I think that most times guys, men, you know, think that our partners are poking their noses into our business, but look, the best person who has your back is your partner, you know, because at the end of the day, if you mess up, that affects also, you know, it comes onto her. If there's glory, it impacts on her. And so sometimes I thought that she was being too, as we say, she's nagging too much, but there was sense in everything that she tried to do, just to protect me out there, because what I was seeing was not because somebody sends me an emoji with a peck or something like that, and it continues, and I'm just seeing it as an emoji, but she's telling me that, look, there's more to it than that, you know, and if you leave people on like that, you get to a point like, hey, what did that get here? And it's be too late, and then issues begin to build up. And so it was tough for me to really negotiate those.
Like, woman, you're nagging. Stop being jealous.
You know, and then you also not helped with certain entrenched positions of your neighborhood community guys, and you know how they run things at their home and their own spaces, and you're like, why am I different? Why should I be different? You know, this is the trend. Why shouldn't I follow it? And so it was really a learning curve for me, and the times where you know I had lost there because it was like I was doing my own thing. But it really took me you know, to really begin to say, look, if she's not happy, I'm not happy at the end of the day. So why should I please the world and not the world? And it really got me a lesson that, look, you can fail at anything, but don't fail as a father and a husband. I mean, if these two, you fail at them, you can be the headmaster of the world. It doesn't matter.
Wow, that is deep. Wow. You can fail at anything, but don't fail as a father and a husband. That's deep. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Before I let go of you, this is all yours, the envelopes.
Okay.
By kind courtesy, High Sense.
All right.
Whatever you pick is for you.
Whatever I pick is for me.
Whatever you pick.
The one that's closest to me is one. I don't know whether it's intentional, but
all right. So let's see what you picked.
Oh, I almost said empty. Oh my goodness. Thank you for coming. You take home a High Sense microwave.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Oh, that's so, oh my goodness.
Okay. All right. This is heavy. So this is yours. And it's
thank you
High
so much.
Sense.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah.
And thank you, High Sense. Thank you very much. I appreciate this.
And
there's more.
Yeah, there is more. So this is from Lexter Ghana. Producers of Yas products. Yeah.
So
you have your tissues, you have your toilet roll, your Yas sanitary pad,
great.
You have Yas washing powder, Yas toothbrush, Yas toothpaste. You have everything in it for you.
Thank you, Yas. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
And finally, this is nice. I've not seen this before. This is from Frame Masters. They want you to have this.
Oh my goodness. Whoa, this is one of my favorite.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. So,
nice, lovely.
Frame Masters.
I love this. Wow. Thank you, Frame Masters. Yeah.
You know, there's something about black and white.
I know. Very so authentic, very, you know, true.
Vintage,
yeah.
I mean, classy.
Undiluted. That's it.
That's nice. No, they'll have to do one for me. black and white like this. This is so nice. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
It's been such an honor, and I know this is going to be a learning point for most married people. God bless you so much.
Thank you.
So a very big thank you to Hisense, Yas Washing Powder and Yas Sanitary Pad, Hooch Corn and Choco Flakes, GTP, Jim Ray Company Limited, Adonko Hand Sanitizer, to GTP, thank you very much. And of course, Ophelia of ABS Collection, Divine Cassie, GH Beauty Artistry, to Vic D Salon, thank you very much for styling my hair. And my hair was actually done by Harry's Professional Hair Studio. To M-Clan Media Productions, you guys are simply amazing. Always do remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to the end of the tunnel. I see a bright light shining through, and it's just for you.